Hey, Austin homeowners, in this video, I'm going to cover the most recent real estate statistics and talk about what they have to do with the frozen burrito. Also look at the real estate stats going forward, the leading indicators and what that might point to where the market's going to be in the next couple of months. We're going to talk about some mistakes that both consumers and realtors are making in terms of how the realtor commission settlement has been applied, right? And all of this, what this means to you as a buyer or seller of real estate right now. And just a reminder that we are still in this microwave frozen burrito environment that I've talked about for years now. In fact, I've had this in my freezer for so long, I probably can't even eat it anymore. What it means is that I ate 1 million frozen microwave burritos when I was a kid, and the first bite, you know that it's gonna burn your mouth, and the second bite is gonna be ice cold. And where that applies for real estate is we're seeing a lot of overpriced listings on the market, because what's happening is one home that really is special is selling at an incredible price, and then everybody else whose homes are just kind of average, they're coming on the market at the same price as that incredible house, and the seller's not realizing that the buyers just aren't biting unless that home is compelling. Buyers are also making the same mistake that when that awesome house does come on the market, they don't realize that there's like 3 people that have been waiting for that awesome house to come on the market as well, and they're kind of coming along and just dipping their toe in the water, and then they're losing out to somebody else. And so everybody's got to be kind of self-aware when you're selling the house, and also understanding the frozen burrito conditions when you're buying a home too. All right, let's get into the stats. All right, let's recap the stats for April for the overall Austin MLS. And remember, this is covering an area all the way from down at San Marcos, way up Georgetown and Gerald area. So the median sales price was $440,000, and that was down 2%. The average price was $579,813, and that was down about 0.7%. Overall, there were 2,729 sales, and that was down 17% from last year. And you've got a median days on the market in the overall market of 32 days. Year to date, we've had 10,298 sales. This was down 10% over last year. Number of new listings is 22,719, and that's up 8%. And the number of homes going under contract, the pendings, is at 12,779, and that's down almost 4%. So this is a really important statistics going into the late spring and summer market. What we're seeing is more homes coming on the market, fewer homes selling. And what that is causing is a little bit of an inventory problem heading into this busy time of the year. Right now in the overall market, we're at 5.5 months of inventory, and historically we've seen the inventory at 6 months is the dividing line between a buyer's market and seller's market. My personal feeling is that it's much lower now where we're seeing that dividing line, just because the market overall seems to be moving so much faster with people seeing everything online. And this is what's happening when you look at the overall number of single-family homes on the market, right? We're way up above where we were last year. And then also just looking at the last time we had a quote-unquote normal market back in 2019 pre-pandemic. So we do often see, or almost always see, a rhythm in the market where the number of homes for sale does increase as we head into the late summer. But this is happening a little bit earlier and a little bit more pronounced than we typically see at this time of the year. Now let's take a look at the latest mortgage interest rates, and this is from Mortgage News Daily. Copa Real Estate is not a mortgage lender. These 30-year fixed rates are at 6.88%, basically flat over the last month, and 15-year fixed down at 6.2%. So we are seeing some lenders are quoting interest rates a little bit lower than that, but for the most part, we're not expecting that to change anytime soon. Now I want to talk about a couple of things that I'm seeing as far as realtor commissions, and of course there was a big lawsuit settlement last year that came out and how these are being applied. A couple of things that I've seen lately. One is that I got this text from an agent, and she was asking me what our buyer agent compensation was for a couple of listings that we have on the market. A couple of things that I want to talk about. First is that you should be hiring somebody as your listing agent who already knows what to do and can give you advice. You shouldn't be hiring somebody that's trying to call me and have me tell them what to do. If you're hiring somebody that doesn't know what to do, just call me yourself instead of having to go through some other agent, right? Second thing is that this is price fixing. And when an agent contacts me about this is part of what that whole lawsuit was about. So of course, I'm not going to answer any of this information that would even put me in any kind of bind as far as price fixing goes. And none of my job is out here trying to keep buyer agents happy or trying to artificially keep up buyer agent compensation, right? So that's just one thing. Second is that I'm getting text messages and phone calls from other agents. And one of the way we can do buyer agent compensation is the seller doesn't have to pay any, but in most of the transactions, it's being negotiated as part of the contract, right? And so some of the buyer's agents are still not understanding that. And if the seller is not directly, or myself as a broker, is not doing broker to broker compensation to the buyer's agent is then telling the buyer that the seller's not paying anything, and then the buyer is not wanting to go see that house. And unfortunately, when you look at this, what an incredible house this was that went under contract, and the clients, the buyers that this agent is representing, really missed out, all because that buyer's agent is not explaining the process to them. And so if you're thinking about going and buying a home and you're going to be working with a realtor, make sure that realtor, you're hiring somebody who really understands this backwards and forwards and isn't going to be giving you information that's going to cause you to not go see a house simply because there's no broker to broker compensation involved in the transaction. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we appreciate your support. If you'd like to know how any of this information would impact your home sale, feel free to reach out to me directly at 512-791-7473 or book a time on my calendar at kopaconsultation.com.